2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast.
Yeah, darn right it is. What's up, guys? Welcome into it. We are getting ready for the radio program momentarily, and we have a lot to talk about. Of course, we have to talk about the whatever that was last night against Ilhan Omar. That was kind of interesting. We'll get to that. We have some information and an update on it. Plus, we have U.S. Senator Roger Marshall, my senator from the great state of Kansas. He'll be joining us. He officially has launched his re-election campaign efforts after filing officially, and the kickoff of Trump accounts, trying to invest in the youth of America. So we'll have some fun with all those and more. Make sure to like it out, share it out, leave that comment, break the algorithm. Let's do this thing for your midweek celebration. Hang tight. Here we go.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Broadcasting from the heart of the nation, the next generation in conservative talk radio. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Oh, yes, it is. What is up, my friends? Welcome into it. It is your midweek celebration. It is the Voice of Reason, the greatest day of the entire week. The middle of the week, your pre-Friday, your post Monday. It is Wednesday, my dudes.
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
And that's how we kick off the show today. There's a lot to talk about, man. I tell you, the world gets crazier every day. I'm starting to think that we are truly living in an alternate reality. I really think maybe after that 2020, or what was it, 2012, the end of the Mayan calendar, when they said things were going to reset, there's a theory that we jumped timelines at that time. And I really, truly think that might be the case because it has been crazy since then, and it only gets more crazy each and every day. Think that's the case? Let's go with that one. Welcome into the show. It's great to have you here. I am Andy Hooser, broadcasting out of the heart of the nation in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship radio station, but we are all over the country. So many great radio affiliates doing our thing.
Do it live!
Like we do every single day here on the show. Bottom of the hour, U.S. Senator Roger Marshall. We sat down with him earlier today. We're going to chat with him and play part of the interview. He does talk about some local Kansas issues. We won't play that part, but he has officially filed for re-election for the midterm elections of 2026, and let me tell you, he has been a rock star in Congress, representing the great state of Kansas. So we'll talk with him about some of the policy. Could we see a government shutdown in just a couple of days now that Democrats in the Senate have the minibus bill, the final 6 appropriation bills? They are voting on them, and now they're talking about removing funding for ICE, Department of Homeland Security, and more. What would that do? And could we see a government shutdown? We'll get to some of that here in just a little bit. We have some big announcements from the Trump administration that happened today as well. We'll do that momentarily. But before we do, can we just, for a moment, reflect on what happened last night? Can we,
what's trending today?
Yeah, if you missed the breaking news last night, although I'm sure you've heard about it, I'm sure you saw the video. If you haven't, it's all over social media. The attack, and I say that in air quotes, the attack against Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. And, you know, after a while, fool me once, shame on me. What is it? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me kind of thing. We're at a point to where there are so many games, so many stupid distractions happening right now that you really have to assume that anything you hear from the other side of the aisle right now is kind of bogus and really is a way to distract from what's really going on. And I want to start at the beginning when we heard about the breaking of the fraud schemes the tip of the iceberg about fraudulent, wasteful spending from the federal level, social programs, that sort of thing that's happening in Minneapolis. And I know you're tired of hearing about Minnesota. I know you're tired of hearing about Minneapolis. But because it's been so muddied for so long now, let's do the quick timeline, shall we? We have this breaking story from Nick Shirley, independent journalist. Goes up there, says, hey, there's a lot of fraud going on. There's a bunch of leering centers. The leering centers, right? Yeah. We're going to go with that one. The leering centers that are supposed to be the educational, private or educational places for children or something, daycares in some aspects, that have no children in them whatsoever. They say they're legitimate, according to CNN, calling them on the phone, and they're like, yeah, we're legitimate. All right, they must be legitimate. And that was the end of their investigative journalism from CNN. But we had this story break. Then all of a sudden, we see the protests come out regarding ICE. And local law enforcement not doing anything about it. We have the mayor of Minneapolis that says we're not going to do anything, and ICE, get the blankety blank out of here. We don't want you. We have Governor Tim Walz talking tough because he's Mr. Tough talking guy like he was on the campaign trail running for vice president of the United States, and said, no, I want you to keep fighting. It is your civic duty to keep fighting against federal law enforcement because we are not going to abide by federal immigration law. And so the battle ensued, and we've had 2 different shootings. We've had multiple different encounters. We've even had the vandalism of the hotel in Minneapolis where ICE agents were actually staying. At the same time all of this is going on, I know, a lot of clutter there. And by the way, there's an update that we'll get to as well. But while all that's going on, while we're looking at fraud from the Somali population in Minneapolis, the question arises, hey, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, you went from not like any money at all to being worth over $30 million in a short of a very short time while in Congress. Where are you getting that money? And again, why did we see the protests happen against ICE? More than likely is the distraction from the fraud that's being investigated right now with the Somali population within the city of Minneapolis, where many city officials have allowed this to go on for so long, knowingly or unknowingly, without even doing any checks and balance to make sure that it wasn't fraudulent in some aspect. Distraction, the smoke and mirrors, these aren't the joy you're looking for. So everybody's focused on the protest. Now we see the same type of game being played with Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Story last night, if you missed
What's trending today?
We have the investigation on Ilhan Omar on where she got her millions upon millions of dollars as a member of the Somali population. Could it be fraudulent? I don't know. She got worth multi-millions of dollars in a span of like less than a year, so I would say that's a little weird. She has now a winery that we found out, some type of company that's under her name that doesn't produce any product that's now all of a sudden worth millions of dollars. And then we see last night she's holding some kind of press conference, and she's calling for the removal of Kristi Noem from the Department of Homeland Security and what she's going to do with some town hall meeting. And all of a sudden, if you haven't seen the video, a guy from the front row, looks a bit homeless, looks a bit shady, a little weird, stands up, sprays her with something with what looks like a syringe, and then backs off as she approaches him. Like, she's no reaction from her, not like a stunned, like what just happened, not a, oh my gosh, just got doused with something dangerous because there was a liquid on me now and I don't know what it is. It could be a virus, it could be a poison, I don't know what this is. Doesn't react that way. Approaches him with the pen like she's going to attack, and then gets mad at her security for not allowing her to continue to speak because she's going to fight. That's a little weird to me. Now, I hope she's okay. And in fact, we do have the report, according to, according to the New York Post, that hazmat crews have officially revealed what the liquid was that was put on Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Do you know what it is? Apple cider vinegar. That's what it was. Now, that was, to me, before we knew what this was, which I just found out a little while ago. Apple cider vinegar. Before we knew what that was. And I made a post on this last night on our social media, which you can find at Hooser Reason, and on our personal page on Facebook, is the whole scenario seems very shady. And it's coincidence how the timing of this happens while she's under investigation. She's looking like she's a fraud. She's looking like she's a criminal, and she needs some type of distraction to make her look like a victim. This totally turning into like a whole Jussie Smollett version 2.0 here of the MAGA people attacked me by spraying apple cider vinegar on her. And the content of the liquid was really going to determine where this really came from, because she cannot, maybe she is, I don't know. I highly doubt that she's stupid enough to think, I mean, I guess she is, because maybe that's where we're going here, but to think that they weren't going to investigate to see what the liquid actually was just for a staged event, for her to look really tough, to think that I'm going to keep on talking because they're not going to silence me kind of thing, that you must be a Kristi Noem supporter, looking like a homeless bum from off the street, looking kind of rough and ragged there. And again, nothing against the guy, just, personal observation from the third-party observer here, that all of it looked very strange. Jussie Smollett 2.0. A distraction from the investigation to make her look like an innocent victim. And is it going to turn out? It doesn't look like it, because we're kind of catching on. And it was so fake. I mean, maybe not, but that's my prediction. Prediction here on the program is that it was a completely fake.
Andy's prediction.
Yeah, all right, completely fake. It's a stunt to try and make her look like a victim during these investigations, to try and lighten up on her because of how much trouble she's about to be in right now. I could be completely off, but that's what it looks like. Because that was the weirdest scenario I've ever seen. Look, and I said this on the post, we don't want her to be harmed. I don't want her to die. I don't want someone to try and do something to her. I want her to sit in a prison because I think she's a criminal. I want her to be potentially deported if she's done so many really bad criminal and illegal things. That's the case. But that's not wanting someone to die, right? We don't want that. So we'll see what the investigation looks like, but to me, that was a complete phony and a fake, and it's a little ridiculous that she even tried that. Really kind of pathetic, and I really hope there is some type of, I don't know, result from that to punish her for trying to go after her. I mean, we went after Jussie Smollett, and he was in prison for a while. Why wouldn't we do that to Ilhan Omar? Although she thinks because she has all this money and power and a congresswoman that nothing will happen to her whatsoever. That being said, by the way, I got to give a hat tip to our friend Joe Pags, the Joe Pags radio show, one of the biggest shows in the country. Great guy. And he gave me a shout out last night on his radio program. There was a video that we had shared as we talk about Minneapolis of after the phone conversation with President Trump and Governor Tim Walz, that there was a little bit, and I say a little bit, of agreement in the fact that we need to calm down the rhetoric in some aspects. With these protesters that are going on, with the violence that's ramping up right now, that's being encouraged, by the way, from local law enforcement, by the governor, and by the mayor of Minneapolis, that after that conversation, there was a round of arrests that were being made in Minneapolis. Now, I say arrests very loosey-goosey and in air quotes here because there's there's a little video of this of the hotel where the ICE agents were staying, where the protesters were vandalizing and trying to attack it because how dare that this hotel allow ICE agents to be in there. The police surrounded that hotel, got on the megaphone, and then said this.
You are now under arrest. Please sit down and wait for instruction.
Then you see all the cops walk from like the block that's, the sidewalk that's around the hotel, walk across the street and begin arresting these people. Now, again, these are violent, angry, mob-like protesters, anarchists who are breaking the law, who are attacking federal law enforcement officers and attacking the hotel where they're staying in. And the police, in I guess maybe the agreement that Governor Tim Walz and the mayor of Minneapolis had with President Donald Trump, was that you need to arrest these people. So their response is on the megaphone, you're being arrested. Sit down on the side of the street and we will come to give you the next directions.
You are now under arrest. Please sit down and wait for instruction.
Who says that? Come on, man. The world's a crazy place, man. I tell you what. All right, that's the stupid going on in Minneapolis. I promise we're not going to spend the entire show on that, but golly, it's ridiculous. One more update on that, by the way, too. The individual that ended up dying in the latest shooting, there is a new video that was released days before that, about 11 days prior to this event that happened over the weekend. He was in a different altercation with ICE. I know now they're reporting that he had a broken rib because of that altercation. The video's been released from that altercation where he was spitting on ICE agents and then was kicking their vehicle and ended up shattering their taillight before they got out of the vehicle and approached him to arrest him and took him to the ground. I don't know why he was out of jail already, if he even went to jail because of that, but he literally vandalized a federal law enforcement vehicle. That's breaking federal law, and that's, of course, vandalism. He should be sitting in jail. That entire situation of the shooting could have been prevented if they would have actually set his ass in jail and kept him there instead of allowing him to continue to do what he did. And then he escalated it even further. So the whole, I'm an innocent nurse, I'm an innocent, silent, peaceful protester, that narrative kind of shattered. All right, that's the update from Minneapolis. I promise that's all of it. But the world is a crazy place right now up there, and they're trying to suck all the attention, and they're trying to distract us from what's really going on. The big story we need to be focused on is the investigation on the fraud of the Somali population, not just there, but from government officials, from different organizations, different communities, not just in Minneapolis, but all over the country. We need to be concerned about that. And with Ilhan Omar being prime center of that, making millions upon millions upon millions of dollars on this from shell companies that mean absolutely nothing, and then her distracting us with, oh, I was attacked by a MAGA-ite. I was attacked. I'm an innocent victim. Racism is what she's trying to call. And I call shenanigans. I call Joe Biden's malarkey on this one. We'll see what the investigation turns up later on. Stay here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When America builds, the world follows. Our energy powered the 20th century. We've set the standard for generations, and we never waited for permission. But now, we're being held back. Outdated rules, endless delays. Without permitting reform, Washington's red tape is slowing us down while other nations race ahead. It doesn't have to be this way. We can clear the way for energy that's affordable, reliable, and built right here. Because what's built here is felt here. Lower costs, more jobs, stronger communities. That's what permitting reform makes possible. Energy didn't just shape our country, it powered the American dream. And with our innovation, we can lead the 21st century. Congress has a choice. Build America's energy future or risk falling behind. Tell Congress, pass permitting reform now.
Miss any part of the show? Well, don't worry. Now's your chance to go find the podcast and listen to as much of the Voice of Reason as you'd like. As the show continues to grow all across the nation with great radio affiliates, we also continue to grow as one of the top conservative podcasts, ranked 5th on the MillionPodcast.com Best 50 Conservative Leadership Podcasts in the nation, and number 1 on FeedSpot.com's 30 Best Conservative Talk Shows in the country. The show continues to grow each and every day. Just find us on any of your favorite podcasting sites at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser. Hey, did you know that you can have multiple different networks on one single smartphone? Well, with Patriot Mobile, you can. It's time for you to sign up for the Patriot Mobile primary phone plan with plans as low as $15 a month, where you can have 2 numbers and 2 networks on one single phone. And right now, if you sign up using the promo code REASON, you can get an entire month absolutely free. It's the Patriot Mobile One plan. 1 phone, 2 numbers, and 2 networks. And it's all at patriotmobile.com/reason. Again, patriotmobile.com, and use the promo code REASON.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? How did 2 guys in a cramped California garage reimagine the phone and put the power of the universe at our fingertips? At Americans for Prosperity, we believe greatness can happen anywhere. We just need freedom and the opportunity to make it real. But today, with a rigid system stifling progress, limiting creativity, and holding us back. That's why at AFP, we offer solutions that tackle the most critical challenges facing our country, so there's nothing standing in the way of America's next breakthrough. Because what we build today doesn't just shape the future, it defines it. How will you be defined? Take your first step today with Americans for Prosperity.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
When reason meets radio. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
You are now under arrest. Please sit down and wait for instruction.
I think that's going to be my new favorite audio clip on this program. We are going to play that ad nauseum. Please sit down. We are about to be arrested. We'll tell you what to do next. Do not move. Have a wonderful time. Get comfortable. We'll be with you momentarily. That is the law enforcement from the state of Minneapolis, the city of Minneapolis. And yeah, welcome to law enforcement trying to show like they're acting tough to stop the vandalism and craziness and chaos and anarchy in their community. What a wild time to be alive for sure. Hey, I want to tell you about my friends over at Lean. As you know, fad diets over the years, they work sometimes. They work maybe for a short amount of time, but they do not last long. Juice cleanses, cabbage soup diets, raw food diets, whatever you do, they sometimes make you lose some weight, but then they're hard to maintain. You can't keep that type of diet lifestyle going. It's called weight cycling. Doctors call it weight cycling, and half of Americans do it. When you lose a lot of weight, then you put it back on, maybe add a couple more. It's really tough on your body, and it leaves you really frustrated. Bottom line, most people need help losing weight, and here's a great way to do it with non-prescription Lean. Lean was created by doctors. It's an oral supplement. It's not an injection, and the science is really cool. Helps you maintain healthy blood sugar, control appetite and cravings, and it helps burn fat by converting it to energy, and burning fat keeps the weight off. If you want to lose meaningful weight at a healthy pace and make sure to keep it off, add Lean to your diet and your exercise lifestyle. I have since the beginning of the year. I feel awesome. I've already lost a few pounds myself already. When you use our promo code REASON at TakeLean.com, again, TakeLean.com, use the promo code REASON, REASON. You get 20% off for my listeners alone. Again, go to TakeLean.com and use the promo code REASON. All right, let's shift gears a little bit to the federal government for a moment. We are days away. Today's Wednesday, right? So we have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we have 4 days, essentially, until the government shut down again. And you know what happens when the government shuts down, man.
We're all gonna die because of you!
Yeah, there is that. The House has passed all their appropriation bills. They are sitting in the Senate, and the question is, will we see the Senate actually pass these bills at an appropriate time? Now, they were going to, and then everything came up in Minnesota. Again, speculation, coincidence. But now Democrats are up in arms. They want to stop the passing the stamp of approval that passed through the House of Representatives, and they want to do their own version by defunding portions of ICE, getting rid of many ICE detention centers across the nation, and wanting them to change uniforms and do all this stuff. Now, again, if they wanted to do that, they could have done that a long time ago. There's nothing different between ICE now and ICE when Joe Biden was here, which he didn't really utilize them, but he did a little bit. Barack Obama and Donald Trump, round number one. It's all the same. The only difference right now is the game of politics. And this is where they put their foot in the sand, their heels in the sand to dig in and say this is what they're going to fight. Senator Markwayne Mullin from the state of Oklahoma did a video talking about where they're at right now and could we see the government shutdown.
Let's talk about what we're looking at with the government shutdown. First of all, we had an agreement to pass all 12 appropriation bills before we left. Because of what's happening in Minnesota, it's become a fight. The Democrats, underneath Chuck Schumer's leadership, he is saying, hey, we're not voting for DHS, so we're going to shut down the government. We could pull out DHS and do the 5 appropriations, which would mean we would fund roughly 96 or 97% of the government and just not DHS. The Democrats do shut down DHS. Well, just some top lines that you might know of. FEMA would be shut down. Kind of important. I mean, considering we have record snowstorms and ice. We also shut down the Coast Guard. Remember all the drugs that's flowing in off our East Coast and our West Coast? Not to mention the encroachment that China and Russia is trying to have on our waters. What about the TSA agents? Border security? It's a lot more than just defunding ICE.
So Senator Markwayne Mullin railing, if we shut down that portion of the government, that 2-3% of the federal government's budget left, and I say budget by discretionary funding, not by the mandatory spending. My listeners understand that difference. But if we do that, then what would that accomplish? Democrats tried a month-and-a-half-long standoff back in October of last year, and it was a major failure. It did not work. Are they willing to do that again by not getting anywhere or changing anything because the House won't sign off on that. That's not a compromise we're willing to do. Will they try to take a stand again? Or will they realize that would make them look really, really foolish a second time with the threat of a government shutdown?
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left finds new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back. And that's where we can help. Head to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can find our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Let us know your thoughts on current events with different surveys and chat rooms. And keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Plus, when you head to the website, you can always get great deals and different offers from all of our great radio partners. Finally, if you want more of the show, you can find our podcasts with all of our great episodes and your favorite guests. And make sure to check out the latest Voice of Reason infomercials and maybe some other special content. And it's all because of you being part of the Hoosier-holic family. Let's continue to fight for conservative common sense principles together by going to HooserReason.com. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
Mid-America Business.
Truth, reason, and common sense. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Cities around the country is not border security and certainly not law and order. What ICE is doing is lawless disorder. What ICE is doing is state-sanctioned thuggery, and it must be stopped.
Thuggery.
ICE must leave Minnesota today, not tomorrow, not next week.
All right, so Senator Chuck Schumer speaking on the Senate floor while they're trying to address appropriation bills. They're too worried about ICE and now wanting to balk at some of the funding for ICE and the Department of Homeland Security that would shut down the government, a.k.a. shut down FEMA and other things, TSA. So in order to try and promote their political agenda that they've created with their chaos and hysteria, they want to try and shut down the government for what, another political motive? I don't know how well that's going to work for them at all. By the way, real quickly, the video that's been shared out, I have paused on our social media, which I don't think I should. There's been calls that the video of the victim of the last shooting, of him vandalizing one of the ICE vehicles, that it's an artificial intelligence created video. It's AI and it's fake. I don't know that it is. It could be. I'm trying to validate one way or the other, but there are some very reputable. I got it from a reputable source that we look at. I mean, Benny Johnson, David Harris Jr., Donald Trump Jr.'s profile. All of them are all sharing this out. So that's where we shared it out. They're saying that it's AI. I don't really know. I hate AI, man. Really ridiculous. Nonetheless, all right, let's shift gears a little bit here, shall we?
What's trending today?
As we have our guest on, and we interviewed him a little bit earlier today, and we trimmed it up just a little bit so it's not focused, at least in the parts of focusing on Kansas-specific issues for all our other great affiliates out there. But U.S. Senator Roger Marshall, my senator here from the state of Kansas, officially filing for his reelection and midterm season for this year in the midterms. And as we talk about the appropriations, we talk about the potential government shutdown, this is what he had to say. Now that we go into this season, are you seeing the energy from Republicans? Right now, obviously, we're seeing the very angry mob from the left side of the aisle, and we'll get to Minneapolis here in just a minute. But that's not really, I don't think, the base of political activists on either side of the aisle around the nation. I think that right now, with us going into what Donald Trump's calling the golden age of America, I would think that we're doing relatively well and that we see an energized, excited conservative base right now.
Well, certainly don't pay attention to the media. 90% of the legacy media is out there telling you what's wrong when there's so much that we can celebrate already. Again, I think about our working families tax cut bill. That families, this is the largest spending cut in American history. It's the largest tax cut in American history. And I think when people file their taxes here in the next month or three, they're going to see the benefits as well, that American families are being able to keep another $1,000 of their hard-earned money each month as well. So, it'll be a crescendo. It's a long time until November, and I get that. And I think eventually, the challenge for this election, it's a midterm, and so President Trump's not officially on the top of the ballot, but I'm telling people he is. And when people realize that his name is on the ballot, that if we don't give him a Republican majority in the House, then there's going to be one impeachment after another, and we'll get nothing done, to be honest. Look, I think we're going to keep the Senate. I think there's a very good chance we keep the majority in the Senate, but it would sure be better to add a couple Republicans. The House is an uphill battle, and I think that this will be a crescendo. This is the start of the season. In many ways, these are the people that will come to this GOP meeting that are really knee-deep into it, but those are the same ones we can count on helping us go out there and chase ballots when it comes in the fall.
Yeah, amen to that. Let's shift gears to some of that policy that you guys have been working on. I know it's difficult right now with that filibuster needing that 60 votes. It's very difficult to get Democrats on board with really, anything, because Republicans are trying to codify the Trump agenda. Right now, you're finishing up the appropriations process. What's the likelihood that we see the lack of another government shutdown here by the end of the week, as we have that deadline for funding in those last few appropriations going through, especially now with some Democrats not wanting to fund ICE, wanting to reform funding for the Department of Homeland Security? What's that conversation look like right now?
Well, Andy, again, the Democrats are the party of defund the police. The Republicans are the party of law and order. So what the Democrats are threatening to do is shut down the government and try and defund ICE, the Border Patrol, and along with that, they're going to take down all the people, the TSA officers, all the security people at the airplanes, and make life miserable. So look, we all realize that nobody wins during a shutdown. We'll see. Vegas says there's an 80% chance we're going to shut down. Remember, only half of the government will shut down. We've already got 6 of the 12 buckets done. So this is another 6 buckets. of funding here. So it would be a partial shutdown, and it may get shut down over the weekend. We may have to tweak a couple things and have the House come back. But really, this drama. So the drama is keeping us from working on the real agenda, and the big agenda this year is bringing down the cost of living, helping Americans make ends meet. Look, the economy overall is pretty stable, but there's opportunity for improvement. So we need to get this behind us so we can really work hard on President Trump's agenda.
Yeah, that affordability issue is sure priority number one. According to Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, he said that these appropriation bills that they've been able to pass say that they get rid of the Biden-era spending levels and go to the Trump-level spending eras as we work on to continue to cut government spending and make it more efficient in the way that we actually operate. Do you see that in these bills? Are we moving in the right direction by slowly cutting out some of the waste and fraud out of the federal government?
Well, we are. Now, in my opinion, we're not going drastic enough, but Speaker Johnson has his hands full. He has to get every Republican to agree with it. So the moderate Republicans are really hesitant to cut spending. You and I have talked about it before. The number one long-term threat to our nation is our national debt. We're spending $1 trillion a year on interest alone. So the good news is we've held spending pretty well flat in these bills. I was really hoping to go back and cut 5%, 10%. So like I said, we're stabilizing the ship. We've got more to do. The thought is we could stabilize the spending in the federal government. The economy grew 4% in the third quarter. We're expecting to see a 5% growth in the fourth quarter. So if we can continue to grow the economy, hold spending stable, then we're getting to where we need to be.
Yeah, that kind of shoots down the narrative we just heard from the quote-unquote economists and the experts saying that consumer sentiment and consumer confidence is at a low. Senator, I don't know how we have a consumer confidence that's low when we have record spending right now. That's kind of weird to me.
Yeah, exactly. So again, this is what the national media wants to say, and I just don't trust much polling. But I know at Christmas season, record amounts of spending by Americans out there right now as well. A record number of people on airplanes. I know the airports, even the small airports in Kansas, are having record numbers of departures. I see people going out to eat all the time. Everyone's got 3 cell phones and 5 televisions these days. So I think that Americans are voting with their pocketbook right now. And regardless, I understand it's not perfect. I have empathy for people, especially that single mom out there that's struggling to find $90 to pay her gas bill this month as well. So we're trying to help all those boats float to the top with a rising tide.
Yeah, and at the same time, we had the one big beautiful bill that took effect beginning of the year. No tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. We see investments of new industry and manufacturing coming into the country. I mean, Senator, we're pretty much, as Donald Trump said with the golden age, we're setting ourselves up for a prime opportunity here, and I think it's going to start taking hold this year.
Yeah, I think 2025 we set the table, and this year is the banquet. That indeed we're seeing records amount of investments into America. I just talked to a pharmaceutical company that's bringing all their manufacturing from overseas back to the Americas, and I get that story every day that somebody's bringing these jobs back to America. You give me good jobs, stabilize inflation, which it is. Inflation is definitely stabilized, but it was cumulative. So it's going to take us 5 or 7 years to totally dig out from under Joe Biden's mess he left us here. But there's new jobs coming out there, great opportunities. I think that, getting back to the governor's race, the 2 biggest challenges I think Kansas will face in the next 100 years, and I said this as Rotary District Governor back in 2015, the 2 biggest challenges are water and a lack of people for the jobs we have. Those are the things that we can control and work on. We can make sure that our youth and young adults are getting the education for the jobs that we have and the jobs that we need. And not everybody needs a 4-year degree or a master's degree. Our community colleges, technical colleges are doing a great preparing kids for the jobs that we have out there. The water issue across Kansas and all your listening audience, because I know you stretch down into down Oklahoma and Colorado as well. That we, and maybe into New Mexico, that we are facing water challenges both in quantity and quality. And we need a governor that's committed to helping long-term solve that issue as well.
Yeah, amen to that. We're talking with U.S. Senator Roger Marshall, my senator here in the great state of Kansas. You mentioned the pharmaceutical industries. I got to shift gears and talk about health for just a moment. The freaking rock star that we're seeing in the Department of Health and Human Services with RFK Jr. We had seen the change in the childhood vaccine schedule that the CDC is recommending now.
Right.
And, Senators, even here in Kansas and other health departments in different states, fighting against that and not wanting to change their policies at a statewide level. I love the direction we're going in health right now, and it's really unfortunate that we see all this politics being played from other health departments.
Yeah, it is. And everyone, just take a breath here. I've always believed in the relationship between the doctor and the patient. Obviously, I'm a physician, an obstetrician. I've had the same talk about vaccines for 30 years with my patients. Last month in pregnancy, what vaccine should my kid get? And I just saw the confusion and the concern through that 30-year career. Why does my child need a hepatitis shot on day number 1? Yeah. And I would go through the pros and cons of that. We've done, we know you don't have a hepatitis. We did the hepatitis screen on you. It's negative. We know your child's not going to go play in a sandbox where there's used needles. There's no one in your family with hepatitis. I don't know you need it on day number 1. When your child gets ready to go to medical school and you're exposed to hepatitis, you should. Now, if you lived in Africa, maybe it's a different story. So, that's just but one example. But I ultimately believe that if the patient understands and the doctor is a good communicator, they can decide. But my friends across the aisle thinks the government knows best. Yeah. They want a one-size-fits-all, and they want to tell you what to do. Remember, the original socialists, the original communists, they said the first thing you do is control people's health and their health care, and then you can control everything about them. I didn't get that taught to me in grade school, by the way. I had to read that on my own. So I believe in the sanctity of the patient-doctor relationship.
All right, U.S. Senator Roger Marshall from the state of Kansas. Great conversation. We have more of that we'll play later on. Got to take a break. One more segment left for a midweek celebration here on The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Big government is broken. Every year, politicians fail to pass a budget as the deficit continues to grow. Every month, unelected bureaucrats pile on rules no one voted for, strangling our economy. And every day, D.C.'s broken system gets in the way of the American dream. Washington isn't working, and the people pay the price. At Americans for Prosperity, we believe it's time to fix the system. Now, join the movement to make government work.
When it comes to something like sausage, I know you want the best quality, the best flavor, and the best in services. Andy Hooser here for J&S Smoked Snacks. And it's time for you to try their handcrafted sausage, made in small batches for freshness and seasoned with their signature blends. You won't find anything else like it. Make sure to try their one-of-the-kind dill pickle sausage made with real pickles, or spice things up with my favorite, the jalapeno cheddar sausage. Taste the difference today at jssmokedsnacks.com and tell them I sent you.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? Our country's greatest breakthroughs were born from bold ideas and the ability to take one small step forward. At Americans for Prosperity, freedom and opportunity find their defenders. Because our country's next giant leap is just around the corner. Are you ready to step up?
Hey, the live show may be almost over today, but it doesn't have to be for you. As always, enjoy The Voice of Reason with our daily podcast by finding The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Just find us, subscribe, have it automatically downloaded, and listen at your convenience whenever you want to bring some more reason into your day. And a lot of people are doing it. Also, you can always find the video of the show, along with articles, additional commentary, and maybe a few sarcastic remarks by following us on our social media. Stay up to date with everything going on with the show, including upcoming guests, breaking news stories, interesting articles, and maybe some memes. Help us in the ongoing battle with censorship and shadow banning from social media by following us on the social media at Hooser Reason on all of our social media sites. For all these social media links, podcast links, contact information, or just general information of the show, go to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can listen live every day, read our latest monthly blog, find our radio affiliate list, or even listen to our latest infomercials and special content. Plus, you can always reach out to the program by sending me a message on social media, emailing us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, or sending an email through our website at HooserReason.com. Whether it's content on the show, whether it's a guest that you've liked or disliked, or whether you want to disagree with me, and disagreement's always appreciated. While you're there, make sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter. Each month you'll get the latest update on the show, updates from the Hooser Media Network, and our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Finally, if you want to help support the show, become a member of our Patreon site and help us fight for the cause of truth, reason, and common sense every day, and get more of the same by becoming the ultimate Hoosierholic. Get additional interviews that sometimes we don't always get to air on the radio. Hear our special segments or even our infomercials before anyone else, and have a chance to chat with other great Hoosierholics from all over. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, you're not only helping the fight for conservative values, you're helping us get more content and information out through the Hooser Media Network. Find out more information online at HooserReason.com. Lastly, follow and support all of our partners with the show. The Voice of Reason has been growing more and more every year, and it's because of so many great partners helping us get the message out to you. From show partners to local radio affiliates in your area to streaming sites, podcasting sites, and more, we have so many supporters and listeners now than ever before, and we want to thank you. It's time to bring back common sense, and we do it right here every day with the Voice of Reason.
America's safe space for common sense. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
All right, welcome back into the show. Great to have you today for a midweek celebration. It is Wednesday, my dudes.
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
That's right. Have no fear. The Voice of Reason is here. And there's plenty to talk about for sure. By the way, I'm going back and forth, man. I did repost and unfroze the video that we had posted on our social media. I want you to decide. I'm telling you right now, I'm clarifying. I do not know whether it is artificial intelligence or not regarding the video of the individual that ended up getting shot by ICE this past weekend. And apparently a video has surfaced that he, prior to, like 11 days prior to, of him vandalizing an ICE vehicle and spitting on them and spitting on the vehicle and then kicking it, breaking the taillights. Now, again, I ask the simple question, if that really did happen, then why was he not in jail? I know ICE doesn't really have the authority to arrest on certain areas, but if they're vandalizing federal vehicles, I would think that'd be the case, and that would have prevented the entire situation from the shooting later on. Or maybe he got bailed out. I don't know. I will say that this makes the world a lot more difficult with artificial intelligence on whether what's actually legitimate or not. So I want you to decide. I did post it back up there. I put the clarifier on. We don't know whether this is AI or not. Now, if it's not, it would make sense because of the confrontation that apparently he had prior to that shooting, days before, around that same time, where he broke his rib with a confrontation and altercation with ICE. So I don't know. You be the decision maker. I really don't know. Kind of crazy. All right, let's get into what's trending here, shall we?
What's trending today?
We got a few minutes left on the program. I do want to tell you about my friends over at Americans for Prosperity. While we release our appropriations bills and discuss the funding of the government, Congress is also working on trying to reform the health care in this nation, getting rid of Obamacare, creating more options in the private market, and allowing you as the family, as the individual, as the household, as a business to have better options in the private market. That's why you need to go to the website at personaloption.com. Personaloption.com, our friends over at Americans for Prosperity, putting together a game plan on how we can put pressure on Congress to make sure that they have the appropriate tools to build a great package for a alternative health care plan, as Donald Trump says with his idea, with the great, quote-unquote, health care plan. And we need to do it. Go to personaloption.com, learn more about it, get signed up. It's completely free with our friends over at Americans for Prosperity. All right, today, if you were not aware, was the big announcement with the Trump administration kicking off. Now, I thought they were going to do this on 4th of July. Apparently things are going so well, they wanted to up the ante a little bit and started early. But President Trump making an announcement with a rally today on his Trump account, the investment for the youth of America for the next generation, as he said that is going to bring in massive amounts of money, growing the economy, and allowing kids to have a fresh start in this nation.
With the support of the men and women here in this beautiful room, over the next 15 years, we're going to put $3 to $4 trillion of wealth into the hands of young Americans who otherwise would have really started out with nothing. It's really an amazing thing.
Yeah, so, all right, so that was the announcement. The plan, if you, depending on how much you actually invest into this plan, it's kind of interesting. If you do the full max every year, which I think is like $5,000 a year or something, the initial $1,000 investment, and then how much you can do yearly, you could see by the age of 18, if you start it right out of the gate at birth, you could see it grow up to $303,000 that's just sitting in an account for a child. By the age of 28, it would go up to almost $1.1 million that your child would have to walk away with, to buy a home, to do their education, to whatever they needed to do at that time. If you do the minimum, according to the Trump administration, according to the Trump accounts, jumpstarting the American dream is what they're calling this. Even just doing the basic minimum by the age of 18, they'd have almost $6,000. By the age of 28, they'd have almost just over $18,000. So that's exciting. The crazy part is, and I don't know why she, out of anybody, became the spokesperson for the Trump administration. But during the announcement, you want to know who was there? I mean, outside of the typical people that's with Donald Trump, but now the new fan favorites of Donald Trump, none other than the rapper Nicki Minaj.
I am probably the president's #1 fan. And that's not going to change. And the hate or what people have to say, it does not affect me at all. It actually motivates me to support him more.
I mean, cool. That's great. Before this, I got to be honest, before all this, I had no clue who Nicki Minaj was. Never heard her music, never even knew her name whatsoever. Now this rapper, who's lost a whole bunch of followers apparently on social media because of her support of Donald Trump, not caring, showing up to the Trump account announcement and talking about her being the #1 fan of President Donald Trump. It's a wild world. I still think we're in an alternate reality. Back at it again tomorrow for your pre-Friday celebration. Until then, we'll see you back on the radio soon. Bye. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch the voice of reason, along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates. From holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with the voice of reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast. Become your own voice of reason and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic. For information on all of our shows, links to podcasts, each show website or social media link, or to find out about everything we do to challenge the mainstream establishment, visit our website at HooserMedia.com. Again, that's HooserMedia.com, the future of media.